Let me thank our musicians. Let me thank Kendall Scudder, who understands that for many years the Democratic Party in Texas has been run in a terrible way. It's got to be turned around, and he intends to do that. And lastly, let me thank my friend Greg Casar from Austin. Texas, you have given us one of the outstanding members of the U.S. Congress, and we appreciate that very much.
Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders from his tour stop Friday night in McAllen. Bernie drew thousands there in Amarillo and in Fort Worth over this weekend. It's Monday, June 23rd, 2025, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch. Rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. It has been an insanely busy weekend in political news impacting Texas, but let's start with Donald Trump's attack on nuclear facilities in Iran. Latest baseline on that from the New York Times this morning is that Trump's rhetoric of giving the matter 2 weeks that he was shoveling late last week came almost certainly as plans for the attack were already underway, proving once again that what he says and what he does can by no means be expected to be remotely consistent. Not only does truth clearly play almost no role with this president, he also took great glee in the misdirection and considers it a show, basing a lot of his decision-making on how the already underway Israeli attacks in Iran were playing from a public approval standpoint, and complete with instructions to his followers to, quote, stay tuned. The president himself was tuned to Fox News, running constant praise for the Israeli operation and all but begging Trump to directly involve the U.S., minus, of course, these days, the view of Tucker Carlson, whose anti-war stance of late is said to have been grinding Trump's gears. One thing we can be pretty sure to be the actual truth is that this attack is not a conclusion. This is more likely the beginning of a wider Middle Eastern conflict, and the U.S. is now very directly involved. And by the way, there's no evidence so far that the facilities targeted by American bunker-busting bombs used for the very first time in actual combat here were actually destroyed, nor do we know with certainty where Iran's stockpile of uranium is being kept. So, how much was even accomplished with this attack is dubious at best. Texas Democrats in Congress are up in arms. San Antonio Congressman Joaquin Castro says, quote, too often, presidents mistake the initial acts of war as the conclusion to the conflict rather than the opening of a Pandora's box. That appears to be the case with President Trump today, unquote. Austin Congressman Lloyd Doggett, quote, Donald Trump once again shows that he is a man of his last word. With his unconstitutional action entangling us in conflict, he has made American families less safe, unquote. Harris County Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher, quote, President Trump's decision to order direct military action in Iran without authorization from Congress violates the Constitution. I am concerned that these direct attacks escalate hostilities and endanger our forces in the region as well as Americans around the world, unquote. Dallas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, quote, here is yet another reminder that the Constitution is not optional. Congress must authorize military force before any president, including Trump, launches a strike, unquote. Austin Congressman Greg Casar, quote, it is illegal for Donald Trump to drag America into another endless foreign war. My entire adult life, politicians have promised that new wars in the Middle East would be quick and easy. Then they sent other people's children to fight and die endlessly. Enough, unquote. Dallas Congresswoman Julie Johnson, quote, one tactical success does not guarantee a strategic victory, and at this moment, it remains deeply unclear what the president intends to do next or what this attack means for the world, unquote. I'm including a rundown of the 8 things Americans should know about Trump's attack on Iran, compiled by Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy in the show notes, worth a read and a story clearly to follow. Back to Texas, where things broke kind of crazy late last night when Governor Greg Abbott, and I know this is wild, appears to have done the right thing by vetoing SB 3, the sweeping ban on THC products in Texas. Kayla Guo at the Texas Tribune writes that Abbott's veto came late last night, Sunday night, just minutes before the midnight deadline, keeping Texas's hemp industry alive, but just for the moment, Abbott has also called a dreaded special legislative session to begin on July 21st, just under a month from now, during which he expects the ledge to take another shot at regulation of the hemp business in Texas. And again, I know this is strange, but the governor's making sense here in that he wants hemp regulated much as alcohol is, with limits on sales to minors, testing and regulation of product content, and letting local governments decide whether or not to allow the THC trade in their jurisdictions. As we were talking about on Friday, this move is not without consequence, as it's a direct shot at Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who spent a lot of political capital on forcing SB 3 through the 89th legislature, and Patrick is pissed, noting that Abbott had remained silent throughout that session on the matter and continuing his garbage about the supposed widespread public health devastation that THC products have wrought across Texas. Everyone knows that's pure hype. So, while we had all hoped to skip the special session routine this time, perhaps that as well was a pipe dream all along. Hayden Betts, also at the Trib, says SB 3 was but one of 26 bills that the governor 86'd, and there are 5 others he wants addressed in this special session, ranging in topic from water management to human trafficking to judicial practice. Interestingly, I'm not seeing anything here about the congressional redistricting that Donald Trump has been pressing the governor on, but there's also nothing stopping the governor from calling more special sessions later this year. Curiously about the SB 3 veto, though, Governor Abbott included as part of his reasoning a doubt that SB 3 would withstand legal challenges, but he went ahead, closer to expected form, and signed Senate Bill 10 into law. That's the forcing of the 10 Commandments to be displayed in all Texas classrooms, already the target of lawsuits that should begin in earnest this week, and similar to other bills around the nation that have already been challenged, and just next door in Louisiana, has been blocked by a federal court. Nolan D. McCaskill at the Dallas Morning News says Abbott also signed Senate Bill 11 into law over the weekend. That's the one that allows local school boards to establish prayer times in their districts. That's all the more reason for you, dear listener, to start paying attention to politics at the school board level if you haven't yet. And there's more. Governor Abbott signed House Bill 229 into law on Friday, the so-called Women's Bill of Rights that really amounts to a direct attack on the trans community in Texas by strictly defining gender by biological sex at birth, requiring state records to read as such. Brad Pritchett, interim CEO of Equality Texas, says, quote, Governor Abbott has had many opportunities to stand up for all Texans and has continued to turn his back on Texans that he just doesn't like. This is an escalating attack that's designed to prevent trans, non-binary, and intersex Texans from being able to participate in public life, unquote. Our mission at Progress Texas is to counter the conservative disinformation machine, which is funded by oil and tech billionaires and religious right-wing activist groups, all while fact-based independent media outlets increasingly face threats to their funding. While access to those outlets is frequently free, as it is here at Progress Texas, it does take listener support to keep fact-based independent media going. If you've come to appreciate what we do, now more than ever, we could use your support as a monthly contributor, and no amount is too small. Go to progresstexas.org/donate. Thanks to Eric Johnson, Angela Kaiser, and Natalie King, all of whom are on the team. We appreciate all of y'all very much. While you're at the website, be sure and grab the merch to match your progressive values at our web store. Y'all means all revolution, and our most popular Humans Against Ted Cruz t-shirts are all there, all union printed right here in Texas. Great stickers and more, all at progresstexas.org. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Monday, June 23rd, 2025. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Progress Texas is a nonprofit rapid response media organization promoting progressive messages and actions. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media and action in the Lone Star State. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day and a great week. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.